Before you go on any trips away this year, you absolutely need to get this app. I travel all the time, and multiple times, me and the lads have been stung with massive phone bills. You think you're texting on the hotel Wi-Fi, before you know it, you get the phone bill. What was I doing? And it's not just that. Just getting signal when you're away is an absolute nightmare. And this is why I use Saily for just the price of a coffee. Saily will keep you connected wherever you are, so you don't have to hop from hotel Wi-Fi to restaurant Wi-Fi. You're literally going to have the best connection no matter where you are. And it's cheap, so you're not going to get that big phone bill. Honestly, it's a no-brainer. All you have to do is click the link in the description below, install your eSIM, and when you land, boom, you're in business. And every time I've used it, I've had a better connection in the hotel Wi-Fi. I can watch live streams. I can download movies. It's brilliant. When I went to Vegas, this was an absolute lifesaver. And the best bit is there's a 15% discount when you use my link in the description below. Even if you're not traveling till later in the year, I know you might forget. So do it now because this will come in handy. Just go to saily.com/payingame and you can get 15% off. Do it now. Don't wait until you land and then you regret not doing it in advance because this is a game changer. Welcome back to the Pain Game for an emergency meeting. Had to get a couple of me band members together because what the actual fuck, lads. I feel like boxing just got turned upside down today in a big way with a major ballsy move by Dana White. We were wondering, like, what is the play going to be here? And the plan has been revealed as he takes Eddie Hearn's second biggest star on the roster. And really, with AJ's future being, not going to be that much longer, the future of Matchroom has just been taken by the man who Eddie Hearn has been slating. First reaction from me, I seen on Instagram, like, what? This is an AI image, this can't be... I genuinely didn't think it was real. I thought there's some sort of mix-up here. What's going on? Your first reaction when you realised that Conor Benn had completed the transfer to Zuffa Boxing?
I gotta go first and say, you lot know I'm not one to be in the group chatting and stuff. I was in the group. If you see me in the group, like, what the hell's going on? Something's happened. Something monumental's happened, or we're on our way to a boxing event. Like, literally, something, and this was monumental. You're looking at this and you're thinking, this can't be right. This has to be, like, this is almost Game of Thrones-esque when everyone gets stabbed at the Red Wedding. This is, well, literally, because you've been stabbed in the back, mate. This one here is the nastiest of work. There's only one way to break it down. This is absolutely insane. So I looked and I wasn't sure. I had to go to Conor's side. I had to go all over the place.
Yeah, same. And you go to Conor immediately, like, I need you to confirm this is fucking real, like. Because the handshake and that, I'm like, what am I? It was WWE-esque, wasn't it? It was like when wrestlers would show up on WCW, that you're like, what's going on?
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
We ain't had many announcements yet this year, right? We've had a few. We haven't had that many. This is what boxing needed. As bad as it is, and we'll go into the moral side of it and everything else there. This was a shot in the arm for boxing that. The first thing that I've done this morning is type that into YouTube. Probably just hit the homepage and it's come up anyway. Yeah. The first thing that everyone that I follow on social media is doing is giving their thoughts, commenting on it. Yeah. This is probably the biggest story to come out of boxing in a good few months.
To use a word from Eddie Hearn's catalogue, it's a game changer, lads, unfortunately for Eddie. We got to talk about Eddie. Eddie, for me, is probably my favourite promoter. I really like the guy. And just watching his interview on IFL... It's weird because obviously the guy is very well off man. He's built a business. This isn't going to be the end of him, but it was one of his lowest points of his career. It felt like it was. I've never seen him look more wounded, other than when there's been genuine, tragedies. It was such a blow. I just see the look in his eyes, the confusion as to like, how the fuck did this happen? And the quotes. I'll bring up a couple of things. I've wasted a few years. I'm devastated. Bearing in mind, it's more than a few years. It's been 10 years where he's been building Conor Benn up from day one. Yep. And Eddie said, I had this kid from day one and I found out from his lawyers. There was no phone call. There was no, by the way, this is happening. Do you want to... There was nothing. It was, you heard from a lawyers. Eddie messaged Conor directly and... said, like, can we get on a call after everything I've done for you? I think it's the least I deserve. Conor Benn replies, no.
Yep.
That's the one.
That was the shot through the heart for me. Because it's like, I know business is business, but even if you are going to like make a move like this, it was the fact that he didn't give him the time of day after everything that they've achieved together. I thought, fuck. Can I just get your reaction on that, lads?
Can I just say this, yeah? Business is a cop-out in this scenario. And I don't care. There's so many people that are just going to get in the comments now and go, oh, give Joey 10 million a fight, see what he says. I don't care. I don't care because the context is completely different. I think that in this life, if you are, listen, I'm not saying no one hasn't got morals and stuff like that, but if you're a real man in this life, when someone gives you that respect, gives you that loyalty, puts their neck on the line for you. Like, let me just say this, yeah? You just said there, oh, Eddie Hearn's one of my favourite promoters. Well, guess what? He was everyone's favourite promoter 2-3 years ago, yeah? And when you are everyone's favourite promoter, when you are almost as important, and in some cases a lot more important, than your actual stable, and therefore you're the product, I tell you what you don't want to do. You don't want to turn the British public that pay for the tickets against you. And Eddie Hearn is not a stupid person. He's not someone that acts without thinking, and he's not someone that doesn't think through what he's doing. He thought through, he added up the pros and the cons in that situation, and he put his not only neck, but reputation, and some would even say business, on the line in backing Conor Benn. By the way,
can we just clarify what that was about? The drugs ban, yeah.
This was the drugs. This was the drugs ban. Yeah. This was him. This was him voluntarily rolling himself through the media. Talk Sport. Do you really think Eddie Hearn needed to sit there and get dressed down for an hour and a half by Simon Jordan, dragged through the media? He wouldn't have done that. He'd done it all for Conor Benn, and you've only got to look 2 weeks later at Dillian Whyte, another man that he had promoted time in, time out, but wasn't under a fight contract with him. He fails a drugs test 2 weeks later, or adverse findings, whatever you call it. Complete different treatment. His next fight was in effect, a leisure centre in Dublin. Yeah, Conor Benn's next fight was out in America.
I'm glad.
Can I add one more thing before you jump in, KJ?
Ahead.
One more bit of context. He also said, I loaned him hundreds of thousands of pounds when he was down and out. That's a real motherfucker right there. KJ, what do you think?
Well, this is it. So when you talk about careers and stuff and how people get there and if it's been boosted or helped by promotion, there's only one person you can look at, and that's Conor Benn. Conor Benn has literally, the Matchroom machine was behind this man. We're talking about Van Heerden, Algieri, Granados, Femella. These are not names. And then all of a sudden, you get paid generational wealth. Why? Because they had an idea. They had a plan. This was years before, but then he messed it up. Let's have it right. Conor and whatever the background team messed up that plan. But then someone sticks their neck out and stands beside you in this moment. You cannot treat this person like that. That's the truth of it. You can, the simple fact that you sent it via email was a weasel move. It was that's the worst thing you could, an email. Like, I shouldn't even hear from your lawyer first, but fair enough, your lawyer speaks because you don't know, you don't want to deal with it. Brilliant. After the lawyer's gone in and I've seen that email, let's get on a phone call. Yeah. No. I could only imagine what Eddie Hearn had done when he's looked at the phone and said, no, I have to throw it against the wall, especially if I've loaned you money as well. Everything we've gone through, and this is what you tell me today.
Let me add context, lads. A little bit more context. Eddie said, look, like, naturally the urge was, well, let's get on a call. Let's see if I can match the offer. Let's see. And he was like, they didn't want to, they weren't interested in even entertaining that. And I'm like, how can that be after 10 years and all of the building up of your career that like to not even give him the option, the chance to work in the future? It's like my head's turned and there isn't really anything you can do and I don't even want to talk to you anymore. That was the bit that was sad for me because I feel like, you know, I know that there's going to be people in the comments saying, look, boxing is a selfish sport. You got to look after yourself. You're in there. You could die in the ring. And I think that that's all added important context. And for that reason, my problem isn't necessarily with him taking the deal because we all have to do our best for our family. It's the way he's gone about it, I think, is terrible. Really bad.
Can I say something? You know, this whole thing of, boxing's a selfish sport. Yeah, again, that's without context. It's not a selfish sport once someone's been selfless to you. It's not a selfless sport once someone's put their neck on the line and absolutely given everything to you. One thing is, I believe that Eddie Hearn's rise in boxing had a lot to do with social media. I think it had a lot to do with Eddie Hearn being almost a master in his generation coming through at checking the temperature, so to speak, being able to gauge a reception. Do you really think Eddie Hearn was oblivious to the temperature when he was backing Conor Benn through the drug scandal? Do you really think he didn't realise?
I hammered him for it, mate.
Exactly. Everyone did.
Time.
I did.
Yeah.
Everyone did. Everyone did, and they were right to do so. And that is why, on a personal level, away from boxing, I think you can look at it and you can go, oh, that's bad. That's proper bad. And the thing with it is, you were saying, he doesn't take the phone call with him, like it's almost like he doesn't care about it. I would suggest the 5 letters instead, mate. Guilt. That's what I would say. Because
is that why you think he didn't take the call?
No, I don't think so.
I can only put myself in that situation, and this is me being completely honest and transparent here. If I had done something, Brian, that I believed had snaked you a little bit, maybe I would be a lot more like, I don't really want to speak to him on the phone, stuff like that. If I genuinely went, mate, like, look, I've had this opportunity, you'd speak to someone because you would know that you've got enough
from
there.
previous experiences, you'd think so, but not always the way.
I personally would, is what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? It's
duck and run. But what are you thinking, KG?
I'm going to say this.
Why did he not take the call?
Dana's pulled a blinder. Dana's probably said to him, I've got this offer for you, but this offer means you take it right now. No, there's no conversation with Eddie. Dana's a very clever businessman, and now he needs to get more respect because Eddie didn't realize he's swimming with a great white shark. Not even a normal, and the training camp, this is almost, sorry, Anthony Yard, but it's like, you know when you hear about Anthony Yard's training that he does, the sparring that he does, and sparring with my man like Ben Shalom is pretty much what that is. That's never going to prepare you for the big leagues because what's happened is he didn't have his stuff in order.
One-way traffic.
This is an Eddie Hearn issue as well. Eddie Hearn believed in, the loyalty, the game and stuff, but how do you not sign him to a long-term deal? How did you have your greatest asset? Now you have AJ, you have Conor, and you have the other kid that he's stolen from Ben. Those are your 3. One is a rising star. One is already there. Like, you've actually proved yourself in America. He's all over the place. Blonde hair, big fights ahead, and now he's done this. They've cut your legs from under you.
Can I ask a question?
Can we dissect this Dana White move? Because I think there was a period where Dana White has been massively underestimated, and I think that clearly Eddie's been talking a lot of shit about Dana. And like, there's certain people in certain industries that you just shouldn't talk shit about, and I think Dana's right up there in that league now, and he's proven like, he's counterpunched him and knocked him clean on his arse in the first round. The fight hasn't even begun yet, actually. Like, they were just getting, Eddie was mouthing off a bit about him, and I was fucking entertained. It was great back and forth. And Dana's gone with the big right hand early on, and he's got him on the floor. And I'm not saying Eddie's out. I would never count Eddie out. But fuck me, this is a killer punch. This is like, how do you recover?
Do you know, I think we're seeing like, not history repeat itself exactly, but a lot of reflection from the early Eddie Hearn days, because I think one of the reasons why he done so well and why he was groundbreaking when he came in, Eddie Hearn, back in 2010 sort of time, is, and I don't mean this as a insult, he didn't really understand the market, and therefore he hadn't been conditioned in the way that people need to operate, such as, look, this promoter, he might have a fighter and it might benefit you to fuck that fighter over this time, but he's got a load more other fighters and they might make more shows for you. Eddie didn't necessarily think like that, and that's why eventually he ruffled loads of feathers, but in the start, it was amazing, and that's the sort of move that Dana White's doing here. And if he continues to make those sort of moves, then as boxing fans, we are so blessed, because not only are we going to get the fights which we've been getting over the last 2 years, now we're going to get even more when it comes to the background of it, the drama of it. Like, you look at, Conor Benn himself against Chris Eubank Jr. We all know that weren't really about the fight. It was a great fight the first time round, but it was about the background. And my God, did boxing need this right now? Because if you think it stops here in terms of a war between Eddie Hearn and Dana White, oh my God, we're just getting started.
He's throwing down the gauntlet, Dana. Now, before we move into the future of Dana, I just want to gauge where you think this leaves Eddie, Matchroom. They've just signed a deal with DAZN, 5-year deal. You know, Conor Benn was plastered all over the fucking poster for that deal.
Man.
He was, you know, and when you look at that poster, as you've just said, household names. There's Katie Taylor, who's basically as good as retired. Anthony Joshua, who's going to be retired in the next, you know, couple of years. Conor Benn, he's obviously very much in his prime. They're the household names. You could argue Ben Whittaker may become a household name. He's not there yet. No. Household names are what you build your stable around. So this was the prime fighter has been taken, and you can't just replace that. You know, this is 10 years of hard work Eddie's put into him, and Dana's gone, right, I'll take all that hard work, thank you, I'm going to harness that now. Where does this leave Eddie?
I think Eddie's in a world of trouble, man. Let's be honest, because the only thing he can do right now is really, like, relationship with Frank Warren is everyone for themselves. That's what we're really learning. Like, they've been friends and stuff, but we haven't got time in this space of boxing because I'm finished. I've not got the strongest roster that you could imagine. Queensbury looks solid, and you already know Zuffa's on the on and up. I think, did they sign Opatire as well? Who else
they got Opatire, and apparently they're looking at people like Andy Ruiz, but they're also, you know, talking to Usyk. Yeah, we can.
It's an MVP. Let's look at what's going on here, because Netflix being in the mix is crazy. Like, that's one thing for sure. And while AJ is on the bench at the moment, you don't, injury wise, there's all sorts there. Who's the next guy? I look at their team, and unless he can put like a lot of weight or work behind it, because it's Dimitri Bivol, Matchroom fighter.
Bivol's never going to be a pay-per-view guy, though, is he? And he's an injury-prone wreck. And, you know, Ben Whittaker's really the great hope right now over there. And one interesting thing is that Zuffa are using this signing of Conor Benn to shop deals for a TV broadcaster in the UK, which they're gonna fucking walk into, aren't they? Because of the connections that they've got through WWE and the UFC, they're gonna have all the biggest, you know, broadcasters at the table begging them to give them the Conor Benn fight and whoever else they bring through. My worry for Eddie right now is it is getting more and more competitive, and where he thought he was, that he obviously isn't, and now you're losing such a big star. How can you rebuild?
He has to become a shark. He has to become a shark. He can't, like, they're all holding hands and it's lovely and it's nice, but this is the boxing game. And that's what the reminder he had, which was brilliant in that 15-minute interview. And someone that talks as much as Eddie Hearn does, to not speak as much. You already know how he's feeling. He's distraught in terms of, I have to make some serious boxing moves, and I have to have my boxing head on. Right now, I have to box smart, and boxing smart means having these meetings, bringing in fighters, and letting the world talk about you the way you want to be spoken about.
Okay, let me bring one thing to the table. And I made a video about this ages ago when Turkey first announced this, and I've actually think I've got the exact words Turkey used. We have the same vision, me and Dana White. I trust that this league in a short time will crush everything. Now, I believe that these words are now coming to fruition, because you say you have to be a shark, Eddie. The problem is Dana White has bigger teeth in the backing that he's got. And clearly Conor Benn was like, it ain't even worth talking to Eddie, because I know you can't give me what they're giving me. Apparently they're giving him around $15 million, around £10 million. Like, you're not going to match that, Eddie. So why even have this fucking conversation right now? And if they can do that with Conor, they can do it with everyone in reality. I think Turki Alashik has proved when he puts his mind to something and he wants something to happen, it happens. And with Dana at the helm, with that ambition, that drive that he's shown in the UFC, I think this puts everyone on notice now of lock your fighters down. And I just want to entertain one thing. If you are ready right now, you do have to start thinking, why the fuck did I not sign him to a fucking longer term deal? How did I let my top star, in his prime at least, walk out the door? How did I not get, like, is there any of that in this as well for Eddie, where the regret is like, how could I made a rookie mistake here?
Well, you say it's a rookie mistake, Anthony Joshua signed into a long-term contract, yeah? But when we go... not just fighters that have had long-term deals with Eddie Hearn, because there's loads of fighters that have had their whole careers under Eddie Hearn that I wouldn't necessarily say they're a proper Eddie Hearn Matchroom man, yeah? And the ones that I kind of class as that, even though they were with other promoters at times, Tony Bellew, Carl Froch, Conor Benn himself, Dillian White when he was doing the pay-per-views. Remember, I think he done, 4 or 5 Sky Sports pay-per-views? So what I'm saying is these sort of guys... Everyone I just named there, apart from AJ, never had a contract, right? Yeah. And Eddie Hearn has spoke openly in interviews, something that maybe you think you wouldn't do, yeah, if other promoters are circling. But Eddie Hearn spoke in interviews about it's kind of something that in the past he's been proud of because it's a reflection of people having trust in you and your character that you're able to operate with these people on a no contract basis. It's come back to bite him in the arse. The question I would have, is... and I don't know an answer, it's not a loaded question, there's got to be a financial incentive there. There's got to be a financial incentive to not having them on contracts, because why the fuck would you not? Why would you have Tony Bellew, Dillian White, all these boys on a fight-by-fight?
I'm going to give you this. So, obviously, and it's a football analogy, but it makes all the sense in the world. I remember one day when a little side called Man City got given some billions by Sheikh Mansour, and Man United.
This is Carlos Tevez.
Carlos Tevez, and I'm telling you, as Man United, we were the top of the tree, and we were like noisy. We called them noisy neighbors, mate. Yeah, them noisy neighbors have now built an extension in our side of the thing. Like we don't even live where we used to live anymore. We played them off, and we said we didn't even think if you're coming to Manchester, you would never go to the blue side. Yeah. Now we don't even expect the signings. So where Eddie Hearn was, like Man United, you believe if you're going somewhere, why would you not come to us? Yeah. Why do I have to sign my fighters down to this, that, and the other? Because we're sitting high and everything's fine. Complacency, ego.
And not just that. Joey is right in what he was saying in that flexibility in a fight-by-fight basis, because you don't know, is a Dillian White or these kind of characters, are they going to get that kind of fight? But the reality was, after that Eubank fight, Conor Benn became the household name. Conor Benn's star grew, and you left yourself in such a what's wrong?
I'm just thinking, Eddie was flying him fucking everywhere, not even under contract. Like, honestly, Conor Benn's probably going to end up wanting to slap me at a show. Conor Benn's been making himself look like an idiot for time now. Do you know what I mean? Like, to the boxing fans, personally, when you got Shakur Stevenson in the ring, you don't need a little blonde-haired fella on the side calling him out. Like, it's stupid. Conor Benn,
called Conor out. He's the money fight. He's the money fight Conor now.
He's called Conor out. The initial thing I'm referencing, do you remember when they were on Ariel Helwani and whatever, and they were going at it? To be fair, it's probably both sides. But what I'm saying is, I've seen Conor Benn way more often than not. Say, for example, when he's pulling in Ryan Garcia saying, you're in my city. Yeah, he's in your city, but he's the former world champion, and you've never beat a top 20 British level fighter, bro. So you shouldn't really have that sort of disrespect for him. And what I'm saying here is, Eddie Hearn has not only, as you say, lent him money, given him them big fights, stuck by him, even since that Chris Eubank Jr. fight, he's been making him the star. He's been flying him, having him sat next to him at ringside events of big world title fights. It's mental. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, bro.
It's insane. It's insane. It's insane.
There's a few people saying he's not worth the money. Why are Zuffa going this far when he's not the fighter that should command that in the ring? He's not that good. But here's the point. Boxing is entertainment, and this kid has crossed over, and he's used these moments, and he always gives credit to Jake Paul and people like that. And I think that Conor Benn is slick to the game in the fact that if he hasn't got all those belts, and yet he's still the main man, he's still the one they've forked out all this money for, it tells you he's playing the game very cleverly, in my opinion. And it also says Zuffa are not playing around.
Zuffa are not playing around, and we have to look. So let's try and look at the Conor Benn perspective, because there is a Conor Benn perspective.
Yeah.
Or in terms of just, and I know it's shit. Like, I don't really understand, because I'm more with the loyalty gang of things. But he's saying it's a short career, and
millions matter. You know what I mean? I'm getting millions
matter, and I'm gonna be by myself when it all said and done. Like my dad, like everyone else, it's only going to be us at the end, because he's grown up in a boxing home, a boxing family, and they've seen the downfall of when you're not the champion, when you're not the guy, when the Don Kings, they've seen the shit version of boxing. So he said, you know what? I'm going to secure my future to the maximum. And that's what
allegedly
he's
it's a
gone for.
one-fight deal, mate. It's a one-fight deal.
Like it already wasn't secured.
No,
Your
no,
future was secured with Eddie Hearn.
But what he's saying is
trying my best to try and see
£10 million, with a one-fight deal, lad. So in his mind, it's like, this ain't going to be here forever. I got to take, and I do think that they've said there'll be more.
Yeah.
I don't think he's jumped ship and turned his the back on his long-time friend like that for just one fight. In the idea, it will just be one fight. I think it will be more.
Frank Smith has given up Christmas Day forever for Conor Benn.
Yeah.
Right? Oh. Frank Smith can't do Christmas Day again. And you're talking about 10 mil, eh?
No.
Disgrace.
For those who don't know.
I'll give you the context. No. Frank Smith is married to Emily Eubank, yeah? It was awkward as fuck when Conor Benn and Eubank are going at each other and Frank has to pick a side. He's got to pick a side. He had to host the second press conference because Chris Eubank Jr. wouldn't let Eddie speak and he had to go against his brother-in-law to back Conor Benn, who's now gone. It's mental. Honestly,
I know Chris Eubank's message, Frank. Just a picture of
Can I read Chris Eubank's tweet?
Just a picture of
himself. I got to read the tweet. Eubank's been tweeting. So Eddie Hearn's number one fighter has now left him. Eddie stuck by Conor Benn through thick and thin, getting him off drugs charges and giving him money to live when he had nothing. I guess this really shows just how much of a scumbag Hearn is. He saves his fighter's life and career and Conor still doesn't want to be involved with him. Or Ben is just a scumbag for dumping the man that built him. This really is a conundrum. Scumbag on scumbag violence at its finest. Don't say I didn't tell you. He's loving it. He is loving it.
I didn't think Eddie was going to get the shots there.
Jeez, he hates Eddie to the end, didn't it? That's insane. Well, again, he's saying who's the greatest scumbag? And that's a great question.
I don't know what his beef is with Eddie, to be honest with you, but let's kind of work out how big of a win is this for Dana White? Because we know it's a huge blow to Eddie, so it's automatically a win. But how big of a win is this for Zuffa? What does this do for Zuffa as a company?
I think it's huge because I think it sets a precedent moving forward. So I don't think, and again, I don't want it to come across like I'm saying I don't think he's any good or anything. I think he's very exciting. He's very much within his place as the sort of second best pay-per-view star, maybe third best pay-per-view star in this country. But the problem is, I don't think Conor Benn is going to bring a host of world titles to Zuffa boxing, right?
Whoa.
That doesn't actually... He could bring Ryan Barrios maybe, but I think Ryan Garcia will win that fight and Conor Benn will get beat by Ryan Garcia, in my opinion. But I don't think he's going to bring world titles there. But what the move has done is it's set a precedent. And what it's kind of done is opened a lot of boxing fans, including myself's eyes up to say, oh, do you know what I've realised here, right? Really, this is a race that Dana White should win because whatever decision Dana White has to make, it's one chain of thought, you make the decision. Like Eddie Hearn was saying, he's got a boss almost, yeah? And everyone can say, oh, well, Eddie Hearn's got a boss. Yeah, but Eddie Hearn's boss cares about more markets than just purely the Riyadh season or the Saudi-backed shows and whatever, and they have to look after more. And therefore, when you've got to look at more and you've got to think about, right, don't want to piss that trainer off because he's got my world title fighter in this fight, you have to make decisions that are altered by that context. Dana White doesn't have to do that, and therefore, I think that Dana White should be able to have a cleaner run at things.
I'm going to say something different now. I believe that the road is perfect. If he, as you say, acquisition, it's more than just the message sent. It is, you talk about Rolly Romero versus Conor. Like, that's a smart fight because we want two fights out of this. We want Rolly and we really want Ryan Garcia. If you're talking about making money, yeah, Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn on bloody Netflix is a game changer because that's what Eddie Hearn was literally thinking. He's got blonde hair, we're outside, we're about to win. And literally, like, everything was perfectly set up because I don't know how good Conor Benn is technically, but we can still match him to make all the coins in the world. I think there's 3 good fights, like, proper sit. Everyone's gonna watch.
Shakur Stevenson surely on that list.
We have all of these fights,
and this is what might happen, right? If we're looking at the money fights in that division, Conor Benn is one of the top guys, if not the top guy, in my opinion, in terms of who can draw money on pay-per-view. I think Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn are the biggest names. Ironically, they're the ones who currently, as we're recording this, don't have a title. Ryan Garcia's fighting for a world title tonight. But I think it would be a great incentive to get other fighters to come to Zuffa by saying, look, we got the money fight over here. We're going to pay you a shitload of money. We're going to put you on Netflix. You're going to fight Conor Benn. The drawing power all of a sudden to bring those fighters around that division, which we know 140, 147 around there. That's outside of the heavyweights, the most exciting division right now, in my opinion, in boxing. And if you've got the biggest name in that, you're going to find it a lot easier to entice those guys over there. My God, I mean, this is a major power play, in my opinion. Dan Raphael, the boxing journalist, in America, he's in the know. He knows a lot. He put a tweet out and he said, and if you think shit that happened today, if you think that what happened today was crazy, you ain't seen nothing yet. Meaning, like, I'm hearing things that Zuffa are currently planning on doing. And this is just the beginning of the domino effect.
Do you know, in my opinion, when you were naming like potential opponents, stuff like that, do you know who seems, this sounds a weird thing to say, but do you know who seems very Zuffa boxing to me? Ryan Garcia, if he comes
massively
through. Ryan Garcia,
of course.
Just imagine the image. Ryan Garcia stood next to Dana White, like that makes sense because Ryan Garcia is a superstar.
Yeah, that's the next one. If they get 1 and 2 in terms of, because like I get it, Shakur Stevenson, top fighter, Haney, these guys are top fighters, but they're not the money men. If you get the 2 money men of that division and put a Zuffa boxing belt in front of them, or the Ring Magazine belt, whichever one, because obviously they're now intertwined, these companies, you're instantly telling all of the casuals, the ones who will just watch on Netflix and not necessarily the pay-per-view hardcore fan base, this is the belt, this is the company, this is the division that matters, and everything else is bullshit. And unfortunately, for all of those, those old school belts that we have grown up regarding in the highest esteem, if you can shout louder, no one, the casuals don't even they don't know the difference between the green belt and this belt. They don't fucking know. Whereas if Dana White, the biggest voice arguably in combat sports, is pointing to this belt and putting the 2 biggest stars of that weight class and saying, this is the belt, you can rewrite history. And this is how you do it, in my opinion.
Can I ask you guys a question? I've just been thinking about it, and I wonder what you lot's response to this one is. Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, obviously they meet Turkey how many years ago? Do you reckon they would have played it a little bit differently? Like, how they've managed it? Because they said they gave him the keys to the city. They said, come on in.
This is how you
have
do
a
it.
look. This is everything.
They took him behind the curtain and showed him how it was done, and he
said, come on in, here's a look. And Turkey said, really? He had a look, and he goes, oh, this is mine. Literally, he went in there and he goes, this is going to be mine in under 4 years.
But this is the thing with Turkey. He hasn't done anything underhanded here, because
no, he hasn't.
He's done deals with Eddie Hearn in the way of the snooker, the darts. He's looked after these guys unbelievably well. So they kind of would have had to weigh it up and gone, right, that could happen. But equally, the business we're going to do over the next few years is going to be life-changing for us as well. So what are we going to do? We can't shut the guy out.
And the position our fighters will be in as a result of us doing that business. I think that, I wouldn't know with that sort of business, but in any sort of business, you're kind of thinking year by year at a lot of points, right? So I think that at the start of that, if you had said, right, you'll be going into your 4th year, maybe your 5th, I'm not sure, going into your 4th year of them, going into your 4th year of them, and you're still getting shows, you still got a host of dates, I think everyone will be pretty happy with that. But to answer your question, KG, if anyone's less happy out of Frank and Eddie, I think it'd be Eddie. I think that the involvement of Riyadh Seasons benefited Frank probably way
Frank's
more.
Stable is kind of rock solid in my eyes.
I think it brought him back to the forefront. I think it brought him back in the hot seat.
He's number 1 trainer, and number 1 promoter in the UK is Queensbury.
In terms of fighters, Eddie can say I'm a global guy, and that's fair. But in terms, just the heavyweights, Frank has got a stranglehold, in my opinion, on that. And I don't think Frank would ever put himself in a position that Eddie has put himself in. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean Frank's always come across as a little less, like, it's so funny. Have you seen Jerry Maguire, lads? Where the phone and someone's taking all of his fucking football players and he's like, show me the money. Like, that to me right now is Eddie Hearn right now. He's woke up and realised, shit, And he better fucking lock some of these lads down, because I don't think Frank is got a friendly agreement with any of his guys. No way.
You know, I think this is going to be a driving factor to make Eddie Hearn even better, though. And I'm definitely hoping that. I think that this is way deeper than boxing. I think that this is something that will shift Eddie Hearn's personality now moving forward.
It'll hurt him.
It will hurt. Mate, we've all lost friends. It fucking hurts. Do you know what I mean? It's shit. You still remember it years and years later.
Yeah.
KG, it's worse than cheated on. I don't mind it if a bird cheats on me. It's fine. Do you know what I mean? But
when
if
your
mate
bros, it's like, oh, this fucking...
It's so much worse. And it will change the way he does life. It will change the way he does business moving forward. But I'm very hopeful what's sad? It makes him go for the kill.
It may do that, and it also may impact, and I hope it... I mean, look, in my previous experiences in life, I've never let it impact the way I treat people moving forward, but it could do that. You know what I mean? It could make him a lot more skeptical of people, and it'll definitely help him as a businessman, because I do think he's clearly been... He can't not kick himself a little bit after this, and I certainly don't want to kick him while he's down, because it was gutting seeing how wounded he was.
He was hurt,
but the problem is it may make him better, but as a promoter, you really are only as good as your roster and your fighters. As great as he is as a salesman, the product is what you're selling. And you just can't replace a Conor Benn, that like animalistic fighter that he is, even if he isn't the greatest technical fighter in the world. The reason we want to watch him is because we're guaranteed violence. We're guaranteed him snarling and willing to fight anyone, as crazy as that might be when you look at the level of a Shakur Stevenson. So, question to sort of cap this off. Conor Benn's statement, he said, look, I would still want to work with Eddie Hearn in the future, even though he didn't acknowledge the call. And I don't know if that was like a way of softening it in the statement and thanking Eddie. And did he mean that? No. Or is that bullshit? Or can you see a world in which one day they reconnect? Or how do you see this playing out between the two?
Not to be crass,
he's broke up with a girl and told her he can still meet up with her, mate. It's
even worse. He's saying you can watch in the corner. He's
offered to be
the man in the corner. He's offered to be the man in the corner, just standing there watching. Dana White's in the room going mental, and Eddie Hearn's just in the corner. There's no chance
Did you see Dana White's Instagram story?
No. Oh, what's he done?
Smoking a cigar. What a day.
Oh.
First he posted Dean the Great getting slaps. Now he's posted the cigar. He's smashing it. Oh, Dana White.
Dana White is a motherfucking gangster. And I'll tell you now, do you know what's funny? You know what's really funny about this? If you were to compare the way Dana White and Eddie Hearn are with... And I know people will have stories about Eddie where they say, oh, well, he could have been nicer to this fighter or that fighter. And I'm sure there are, right? But they're completely different in the way they treat fighters. Like, Eddie is a lot more of a friend and all of that. Dana is a cutthroat motherfucker. And if you look at the way the heavyweight champion of the UFC right now is being just complete, act like it doesn't even fucking exist. Like the guy hurt his eyes, no fucks given. We don't give a shit, right? Dana is a mobster in this game, and he's really just told the whole world, like, I do not fuck with me. Do not even talk shit. I'll steal your girl.
Mr. Take your girl. Mr. Take your girl.
He really is that guy right now.
You know, other promoters as well, like, you know, we're speaking about what a blow it is for Eddie Hearn. If anyone can take the blow, it's Eddie Hearn. You know what I mean? Like, his stable's depleted a little bit from a few years ago, but it's still stronger than 9 out of 10 promoters. In fact, everyone, other promoters will be so cautious because you've killed Eddie Hearn's pride there by taking Conor Benn and you've hurt him. But from a business aspect, it's not monumental. You can kill someone's business off, another promoter who's only got one or two big assets.
He's he's come into this sport and he's the loudest, promoter in the room is Eddie Hearn, and Dana's just smashed him right in the jaw and let everyone know, I'm top dog now, by the way. So fucking respect us. We'll park that there, boys. A fucking good chat. Who the fuck knows what's coming? This has just totally put the whole boxing world on notice of, we might see a whole bunch of fighters flocking to Zuffa.
We might be doing a lot more of these, mate.
A lot
Frank
more
Warren
to be checking those dates on those contracts. Every one of them right now. Well, Tyson Fury, what is it? Fucking hell, son. We'll find out. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to The Pain Game. We'll see you on the next one.